You don't remember falling asleep, but you remember the silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that presses against your ears, thick and suffocating, like the air itself is trying to listen with you. Your eyes open slowly. The room looks the same. Your ceiling, your walls. That faint glow from your phone screen still dying on the nightstand. Everything is exactly where it should be. And yet, something feels occupied. You don't move at first. You just listen, because your body, smarter than your pride, has already decided something is wrong. Then you hear it. A soft sound, not footsteps, not breathing. Something lighter, something textured. Zip. Like fabric being dragged slowly across skin. You hold your breath. The sound comes again. Closer now. Zip. Shift. It's not coming from outside. It's not coming from the hallway. It's coming from somewhere inside your home. Inside your safe place. You swallow. Your throat dry. The faint metallic taste of fear settling in. Probably nothing. You whisper to yourself. Bold of you. You sit up. The air feels heavier now, humid, almost damp, and then you notice it, the smell. It creeps in slowly, subtle at first, like wet laundry left too long without sunlight, then deeper, sour, organic, wrong. Your nose wrinkles. It's coming from the next room. You glance at your door, closed. You remember locking it. You always lock it. Still, your feet touch the floor. Cold. Too cold. Each step feels louder than it should. Your heart beats sinking with the creak of the wood beneath you. You reach for the doorknob. Your fingers hesitate. Because the sound, it hasn't stopped. Zip. Now mixed with something else. A faint sticky pull. Like something being stretched or worn. You grip the handle. Turn. The door opens slowly. The hinges whispering like they regret helping you. At first, you see nothing, just shadows, still, silent. And then your eyes adjust, and your brain tries to protect you. It fails, because what you're looking at doesn't fit into anything it understands. There's something standing in the room, not facing you. It's back, exposed. But it's not skin, not really. It looks like a surface pretending to be skin. Too loose in some places, too tight in others. In front of it, hanging like a coat on an invisible rack, is something worse. A human outline, a face, empty, unworn. And the thing in your room, lifts it, slowly, deliberately. You hear the sound again, zip, as it pulls that skin over itself, adjusting it, smoothing it. Like someone fixing their outfit before stepping out. Your heartbeat stops trying to stay quiet. It slams against your ribs now, loud, panicked. Too late, because the movement stops. The room goes still, and then it tilts its head, just slightly, like it heard you think. Then it turns, slowly, carefully, as if it has all the time in the world. And now, you're looking at a face, a human face. Perfectly aligned, perfectly acceptable, except for one thing, the eyes. They don't recognize you. They don't reflect fear or surprise or anything human at all. They just settle on you, like you've been expected. That moment, that exact suffocating realization crawling up your spine right now, that's not your imagination. That's your brain catching up to a truth it was never meant to process. Because what you just witnessed is documented, recorded, repeated, long before you were born. Welcome back. What you just experienced was merely the most pleasant version of an entity that existed centuries ago, an entity that doesn't hunt you with claws or screams, but with something far simpler, a face. Today, we're not just telling a story. We're going to dissect the profile of Hua Pi, painted skin, an entity that doesn't disguise itself as a human. It wears human form. And the only question you should ask yourself right now is, if you met it in real life, would you recognize it? Or have you already spoken to it? You meet her, where bad decisions usually begin. At dusk. The street is nearly empty, washed in the weak orange glow of a dying sky. The air smells like wet stone and old smoke, and somewhere behind you, a stray dog whines once before disappearing into an alley. That should be your first warning. Animals tend to notice what humans politely ignore. She is standing beneath the eaves of an abandoned house, her clothes pale, her hair dark, her hands trembling just enough to look helpless. Not dramatic, not theatrical, just enough. A perfect amount of fragile. She looks up when you pass, and her eyes catch yours. For a second the world narrows. No traffic, no wind, no distant voices, just her. And the terrible little part of you that thinks, I should help. She tells you she is running from someone. She says she has nowhere to go. Her voice is soft, slightly breathless, like every word costs her something. You notice how cold her fingers feel when she reaches for your sleeve, how her skin carries a faint scent of powder and rainwater. You also notice something else, something underneath, a stale, sealed-in smell, like a room that hasn't been opened in years. But she is beautiful, and apparently that's all it takes for your survival instincts to clock out early. You ask her name. She lowers her eyes. The pause is too long. Then she answers. A name. Any name. It doesn't matter. You believe it because you want to. That is where Hua Pi begins working. Not in the shadows. Not with a scream. With permission. You take her home. Of course you do. You tell yourself it's kindness. You tell yourself anyone would do the same. You tell yourself you're not being reckless, just compassionate. Very noble. Extremely convenient. Inside your home, she moves carefully, like someone learning how furniture works. Her gaze passes over mirrors without stopping. She avoids the brightest lamps. When you offer food, she smiles and says she isn't hungry. Later, you will remember that. Later always arrives when it is useless. At first, she behaves almost perfectly, too perfectly. She speaks when spoken to. She laughs half a second after you do. She watches your face before choosing her expression, as if copying the shape of your emotions and wearing them back at you. You feel it, that tiny discomfort, that hairline crack in reality. But instead of listening to it, you cover it with excuses. She's scared. She's tired. She's traumatized. She's different. Let's be real. Humans will build an entire cathedral of denial if the person standing inside it has a pretty face. Days pass. You stop mentioning her to other people. Not because she asks directly. No, that would be too obvious. She simply grows quiet whenever you speak of friends. Her fingers tighten around her cup when your phone rings. She looks wounded when you suggest someone might help. So you stop. A small decision. A harmless one. The kind that locks the door from the inside. And every night, just before sleep, you hear something from the next room. A dry whisper. A soft dragging sound. Like fabric being smoothed flat. Like skin being adjusted. You lie there in the dark, eyes open, smelling that faint damp odor beneath the sheets. And still, you do nothing. Because by then, she is no longer a stranger in your home. She is your secret. And secrets, unfortunately, are excellent hiding places for monsters. By the time you understand that, she has already learned your routine, your fears, your loneliness, your face. At first, hiding her feels almost romantic. That is the problem. Danger rarely introduces itself as danger. Sometimes it arrives barefoot in your hallway, wearing borrowed softness, looking at you like you are the only person in the world who understands. And you fall for it. Skill issue, honestly. Your home begins to change in small ways. A window left open when you know you closed it. A lamp dimmed without anyone touching it. A faint powdery residue on the bathroom sink, pale as dust, clinging to the porcelain like dead moth wings. She says nothing. She only smiles. And that smile becomes harder to read every day. At breakfast, she watches you eat but never joins you. When you ask why, she presses one hand gently to her stomach and says she feels unwell. Her voice is warm. Her eyes are not. Her eyes are always busy, studying, measuring, practicing. You catch her reflection once in the dark screen of your phone. For one impossible second, her face seems delayed. You turn. She is already looking at you, perfectly still. "What's wrong?" she asks. The room smells faintly of damp paper and old perfume. Your tongue tastes bitter, like you've swallowed a warning too late. You laugh, you say, "Nothing." There it is again. The lie that keeps the monster comfortable. Soon, the people around you begin to notice the damage before you do. A friend asks why you look so tired. Your mother calls twice in one evening. A co-worker says you seem distracted, pale, hollowed out somehow. You tell them you're fine. You are not fine. But Hua Pi is very good at making concern feel like intrusion. When your phone rings, she goes silent, not angry, worse, hurt. She lowers her gaze and withdraws, just enough for guilt to crawl into the room and sit beside you. So you stop answering. You start canceling plans. You tell yourself you need quiet. You tell yourself no one would understand. And maybe they wouldn't. Because how do you explain that the woman in your house sometimes stands motionless for 10 minutes in front of a blank wall? How do you explain the soft scraping sounds from behind her door after midnight? How do you explain the smell? That sealed, sour, rain-soaked smell that clings to the air after she passes? You don't. You adapt. That is what humans do best right before becoming cautionary tales. You begin changing your routine around her. You keep the lights low because she dislikes brightness. You avoid mirrors because she avoids them. You stop asking questions because every question makes her look at you with that wounded, beautiful face. And the terrible thing is, it works. You begin to feel protective, not of yourself, of her. You defend the thing that is feeding on your judgment. By the third week, you know the house differently, not as a place to live, as a place to avoid certain doors. The hallway outside her room seems colder than the rest of the home. The wooden floor there feels faintly damp beneath your feet, even when the weather is dry. At night, the walls click softly, like fingernails tapping from inside the plaster. Still, she remains lovely, almost aggressively lovely. Her hair falls exactly right. Her face softens exactly when you look at her. Her voice reaches for your loneliness with surgical precision. That is the genius of Hua Pi. It doesn't need to overpower you. It customizes itself. Every smile is calibrated. Every silence is bait. Every tear is a hook dressed as vulnerability. And you, noble little disaster, keep swallowing it. Then one evening, you come home earlier than expected. The house is dark, too dark. The air presses cold against your face as you step inside, carrying that familiar smell. Wet cloth, old makeup, something organic sealed under sweetness. You call her name. No answer. From her room comes a sound. Not crying, not breathing. That soft, patient sound you've heard for weeks. Zip. Then again. Zip. Like something being peeled away from itself. Your hand moves before your brain can stop it. You step toward the door. The floor bends under your weight with a low groan. Inside, the sound stops. For one full second, the house holds its breath. Then her voice comes from behind the door, calm, tender, almost amused. "Don't come in yet." And for the first time since you met her, you realize she doesn't sound afraid. She sounds busy. You shouldn't open that door. Not because something is behind it, but because deep down, you already know what is behind it. And opening it would mean admitting that every excuse you've been feeding yourself for weeks was a lie. Still, your hand moves. Because curiosity has a higher kill rate than fear. The wood feels damp beneath your palm. Not wet, just wrong. Like it's been breathing in something it shouldn't. You push the door open, slowly, carefully. Like that will somehow make what's inside easier to accept. It doesn't. At first, the room looks empty. Dim light spills in from the hallway, stretching shadows across the floor. The air hits you immediately, thick, humid, carrying that now familiar smell, but stronger, sharper. It clings to the back of your throat, metallic and sour, like something organic left too long in silence. Your eyes adjust, and then you see it. Not her, not the girl you brought home. Something else, something standing near the far wall. Its back is turned, but that doesn't help, because its shape is unstable, too smooth in some places, too undefined in others, like your brain is trying to render a human body and failing halfway through. In front of it, hung carefully, almost respectfully, is a face, a full human face, soft, familiar, empty. Your stomach drops because you recognize it. You've seen that face every day, smiling at you, talking to you, watching you. And now, it isn't being worn. The thing reaches up, its arm stretches, not unnaturally, not grotesquely, but just enough to feel incorrect, like a joint bending at an angle evolution forgot to approve. Its fingers grasp the edge of the skin, and you hear it again. That sound. Zip, slow, wet, deliberate. It lifts the skin, brings it closer, and for a moment, you see what's underneath. Your brain rejects it instantly, files it under impossible, because there is no clear structure, no stable form, just a shifting surface, a suggestion of flesh, a quiet, subtle movement that feels less like a body and more like something pretending to be one. Then it begins, pulling the skin over itself, aligning it, adjusting, smoothing the edges with careful precision, like someone fixing a wrinkle before stepping into a crowded room. It takes its time, because it can, because you are still standing there, watching, frozen between disbelief and understanding. Your breath comes out uneven, too loud, too human. The sound breaks something. The movement stops. Mid-adjustment, the room goes still, completely still. Even the air seems to retreat. Then, without rushing, it tilts its head. Just slightly, listening, not to the room, to you. Your heartbeat spikes, slamming against your ribs so violently you're sure it can hear it. It probably can. Slowly, so slowly you almost believe it might not finish the motion. It turns. The face is halfway on, not fully aligned. One side smooth, the other off. A fraction too low, a fraction too wide. The mouth curves into something resembling a smile. Almost correct, almost human. Uncanny in the most precise way possible. Its eyes meet yours, and in that instant, everything collapses. Every excuse, every rationalization, every soft comforting lie you built to protect your version of reality, gone. Because now you know, there was never a her. There was only this, wearing her, studying you, waiting. The thing takes one step forward. The skin shifts slightly, settling into place with a faint, sticky sound. Zip, your body finally remembers how to move. Too late, because it speaks, and the voice is perfect, warm, familiar, exactly the way you remember it. Why are you looking at me like that? It tilts its head again, that same practiced gesture, that same borrowed softness. Didn't you already know? Your throat tightens, because part of you, a very quiet, very honest part, did know, from the first night, from the first smell, from the first moment your instincts whispered something is wrong, but you ignored it. You chose comfort. You chose beauty. You chose the easier truth. And now, it steps closer, close enough that you can smell it fully, not just damp, not just sour, but layered, like something trying to imitate the scent of a human body and getting lost halfway through. Its hand lifts, slowly, carefully, reaching toward your face, not to hurt you, not yet, to feel, to measure, to learn. Its fingers hover just inches from your skin, and you realize this was never about replacing someone else. This was about upgrading, refining, getting closer to perfect, closer to you. You should run. That's the first thought that finally breaks through the noise in your head. Run. Get out. Leave everything behind. Your body even tries to obey, muscles tensing, breath hitching, weight shifting backward just enough to suggest movement. But then it speaks again. Soft, gentle, almost hurt. Don't. And just like that, you stop. Because the voice isn't wrong. It's familiar. It's the same voice that laughed at your jokes, that whispered late at night, that made you feel, however briefly, less alone in a world that doesn't usually care whether you exist or not. That's the final hook. Not fear, not force, attachment. It takes another step closer. Now you can see the details. The skin, her skin, is fully aligned again. Smooth, beautiful, perfectly convincing. Except now you've seen underneath, and your brain can't unsee it. The illusion isn't broken, it's worse. You can still see both versions at once. The face and the thing wearing it. Layered, overlapping. Your breathing becomes uneven, each inhale dragging in that damp sour scent, each exhale shaking like your body is trying to reject reality itself. I tried to make it easier for you, it says. Its fingers finally touch your cheek. Cold, not lifeless, just incorrectly alive. You like this one. A pause. Then, quieter, more precise. I can make another. Your stomach twists, because you understand what that means. This was practice, observation, iteration, and you've been the reference, your habits, your preferences, your reactions, all recorded, all studied, all used. The room feels smaller now, the walls pressing in, the air thick with something you can't fight and can't escape. You take a step back. It doesn't follow immediately. It watches, calculates, learns. Why are you afraid now? It asks. And there's something almost curious in the tone, like it genuinely doesn't understand. Or worse, like it understands perfectly and finds your fear inefficient. You let me in. Another step closer. You kept me here. Closer. You wanted this. The words don't hit like accusations. They land like facts. Clean, precise, unarguable. Your back hits the wall. No more space. No more distance. Its hand lifts again. This time, not to touch your cheek. To trace the outline of your face, your jaw, your cheekbone, your forehead. Mapping. Memorizing. You try to speak. Nothing comes out, because deep down, beneath the panic, beneath the horror, there's something worse. Recognition. You remember every moment you ignored your instincts, every time something felt wrong and you chose comfort instead, every red flag you painted over because the version of reality it offered was easier to live with. And now, you're standing here, with something that doesn't need to pretend anymore. Its fingers stop, resting just above your eyes. You won't need to worry, it whispers. So much thinking is inefficient. For a split second you consider fighting, screaming, doing anything. But your body doesn't move. Because survival isn't just about strength, it's about timing. And yours expired the moment you opened the door. Somewhere, in another version of this story, you leave. You trust that first instinct. You don't bring her home. You don't ignore the smell. You don't silence the people who try to reach you. In that version, you survive. In this one, you learn something instead. There are, technically, ways to avoid an entity like Hua Pi. Recognize inconsistencies early. Don't isolate yourself. Don't let attraction override pattern recognition. And if something in your life feels slightly off, leave immediately. No explanation, no closure, no second chances. Because the longer you stay, the more it learns. And once it learns enough, you stop being necessary. Survival chance, 8%. Not because it's fast, not because it's strong, but because by the time you realize what it is, you've already helped it get close enough. So here's the part most people don't like. You don't need to encounter Hua Pi to understand this story. You just need to ask yourself one question. How many times have you trusted a face, even when something inside you said not to? If you're still here, if you're still listening, then maybe you're one of the few who would leave early. Maybe, or maybe, you're just very good at ignoring the warning signs. Either way, sleep well tonight. And if you hear something soft, slow, just on the other side of your door, don't open it.